What's up y'all? Welcome back to my channel, or if you're new here, hello and welcome. In today's video, we are going to be playing with the newest release from Titanium Foxes, the Grackle Chat Palette. If you're unfamiliar with the brand, they are a French indie brand that launched at the beginning of 2024, and this is actually the third palette the brand has brought us, and I fall in love with the brand every single time they release a new palette, and this may be my favorite color story so far because it is absolutely stunning. I love the mix of cool tones and warm tones here. It's giving autumnal into winter vibes. You're gonna get some beautiful mattes in here. You're also gonna get duochromes and multi-chromes. It is a 15 pan palette. It does retail for approximately $56 US, and it is currently available on the Titanium Foxes website. So per usual, I will have it linked and listed down below in the description box, as well as everything else that I use to complete my looks in today's video. So if you're ever curious about anything I use in any of my videos here on my channel, always check the description box. I squeeze as much information as I possibly can into that tiny little space. But without further ado, we're gonna go ahead and zoom in, prime my eyes, and get into creating two looks with this palette. Alright y'all, so my lids are primed with my MAC paint pot in the shade Painterly, and let's go ahead and dive into this palette and start creating our look. So I think I want to do a cool tone look and a warm tone look. So we're going to go ahead and start with the cool tones first, and I'm going to go ahead and start with this cool tone, like mid-tone brown shade right here, which is called Riverbank. So I'm going to go ahead and pick that one up with my BK Beauty 201 brush, and I'm just going to start to kind of fluff this into my crease, building up a little bit of depth and definition. I don't want to go in too heavy-handed because they do have a very pigmented matte formula, but it's also very easy to work with. So I'm hoping that same formula carries over into this palette. So far, I have not been disappointed with either of the two palettes that I have from the brand. I have just really enjoyed playing with them. The formula is incredible and the shimmers are beautiful. They are nice and smooth, reflective. I never get any creasing or anything like that. And this matte shade is performing exactly as I expected it to. Very pigmented right off the gate, but still easy to blend out. No patching, no skipping, no fallout. So I'm just gonna go ahead and make sure I buff out these edges really well, and then we're gonna move on to our next shade. And I don't think I'm gonna take this down to my lower lash line either, because I think I want to do a colorful lower lash line. Alright, so next I'm going to go into this deep purple shade right here, which is called Winter Blood, and I'm going to go ahead and pick that up with my BK Beauty 206 brush, and I'm going to put this in my outer corner, building up some depth and definition. So again, I'm going to go in pretty light-handed, and I'm just going to press this out here in the outer corner, building up the shape and that little bit of depth out here, and look at that. Absolutely stunning. Again, no fallout, no patching, skipping, nice and pigmented, but still very easy to blend out. So I'm just going to kind of work it into my crease, bringing it up just a little bit, and then kind of smoke it out right out here in the outer corner. And I'm going to keep this on my lid because I want to do that blue shade on my lower lash line just for an added pop. Moving on to the lower lash line, we're going to go into this navy blue shade up here, which is called River Ground. I'm going to pick that up with my Singe Beauty EO4 brush, and I'm going to just kind of buff this along my lower lash line, giving a nice little pop of color down here, but still sticking with that cool tone theme that we have going on. So I'm just going to kind of go back and forth in buffing motions. I'm not going to blow this out too much because I don't want it to go too far down onto my lower, like right under my eyes, if you know what I mean. I don't want to smoke it out too much. I just want to do a little bit more than tight lining with this shade. I'm going to bring it all the way over to my inner corner, but kind of stopping like right here where my tear duct area starts to start. That sounded really strange when I said that, but you know what I mean. Alright, lastly, before we get into the shimmers, I want to deepen up my outer corner. So I'm going to go into this black shade up here, which is called See You Tomorrow. I'm going to pick that up with my Morphe M506 brush, and I'm just going to very lightly put it right here in my outer corner. This is a very pigmented black shade. Like, look at that. I picked up very little, and I just lightly tapped it on my lid, and it's like, bam, here I am. But it also buffs out really easily. I'm not having a hard time kind of spreading it a little thinner and fading it into that purple shade. So that's really good. And I am going to bring it down onto the very outer corner of my lower lash line as well, just kind of wrapping it right out here, just kind of wherever my brush touches when I first put it down. That's where I want to keep that shade. That is so beautiful. This is going to be a really pretty cool tone smoky look. Alright, so my lid is primed with my NYX glitter primer, and it's time to put some shimmer all over the lid, and we have options. And I'm trying to decide if I want to go in with this really pretty duochrome shade up here, or if I want to play with something over here for an added pop of color. Decisions are so hard because this one has a really pretty like teal to purple flip to it, and this one is more of like a blue to purple flip. I definitely want to do this one on my inner corner, so let's swatch these two out and see what we think. So I'm going to go ahead and start with the first one, which is going to be Flashing Feathers. Oh my gosh, y'all, look at how beautiful that is. I think this might be our winner for all over the lid. That is incredibly stunning. But the other one is Crawling Light, and this is the other option that we have. It's a little bit lighter, and it really reminds me of the one that I just used yesterday in the Midnight Haze palette from Blair Dale MUA. So I'm kind of thinking maybe we'll go with this one, do something a little fun, a little bit different, and then we'll put that other one in the inner corner. So that's what we're gonna do. So I'm gonna pick up that shade, which is called Flashing Feathers, with my BK Beauty 203 brush. And I am going to spray it with my MAC Fix Plus. I always spray my shimmers with my MAC Fix Plus just because it helps minimize fallout from the brush. It doesn't really help with the adhesion to the lid. That's what the NYX glitter primer is for, but I like to make sure that I minimize as much fallout as possible. So I'm just going to go ahead and press this right here all over my lid. Oh, that is so beautiful. That shade name is perfect. This is definitely giving me like peacock vibes. So Flashing Feathers I think is the perfect name for this. I'm just going to kind of bring it over towards the inner corner, buff it right here into that shade, that matte shade out here, and then once I have it down, I'm going to kind of wipe my brush off a little bit, and then I can go back along the edges and sort of buff it in and make it as seamless as possible. You can also go back in with the matte shade that you used in your crease and just kind of go over it a little bit so it blends a little easier. But that is incredibly beautiful. Oh my gosh. Alright, so for the inner corner, instead of going in with this shade, I'm going to go in with this one, which is that second shade that I swatched on my hand. I think it's going to be so pretty on the inner corner, and then we'll use this one in the second look. So that shade up there is called Crawling Light. I'm going to go ahead and pick that one up with my Singe Beauty EO1 brush. Once again, spray it, and I'm just going to kind of pop this into my inner corner. I'm going to kind of buff it down onto my lower lash line, bring it up onto my lid, just so we don't have like this little blob of shade sitting right here in the inner corner. Oh, that is so insanely beautiful. This is what I love about Titanium Foxes. Their shimmers never disappoint. They have a solid matte formula. It's very easy to work with, but the shimmers, oh, they are so flattering on the lid. They never emphasize texture, and they're just so reflective and smooth. Alright y'all, so that is going to complete our first look with this palette, and I think it turned out beautiful. I love purple and blue together, and that multi-chrome on the lid with that blue, purple, teal shift really tied the entire look together and just brought out those colors. And I think that duochrome on the inner corner was the perfect addition. It's not too deeply based, but you can still see that shift and that sparkle, and it adds a little extra pop. But let's go over what I used to finish off this look. So in my lower waterline, I went in with a Juvia's Place Nuvian eyeliner. This is in the shade Royal. I lined my lid with my ZC liquid liner and finished everything off with my Judy Doll 3D Curling Iron Mascara. But let's go ahead and pop back into this palette and create our second look. So I definitely want to play with some more of these warmer shades, like these two right here and maybe this warmer brown shade. So I think what I want to do is I want to start with, let's start with this orange shade right here, which is called Sparkling Snow. So I'm going to go ahead and pick that up with a BK Beauty 202 brush. And just like I did in the first look, I'm going to start by kind of fluffing this into my crease, going in pretty lightly handed, like I barely dipped into that shade and I'm barely pressing on my lid, and I'm getting full pigmentation. But once again, you can see how it just disperses effortlessly. I'm not having to work really hard to blend it out, like it practically does the work for you. So I'm just going to build it up a little bit more, and I am going to kind of bring it down to my outer corner as well, but I'm not going to bring it onto my lower lash line because I think we're going to go in with that green shade down there. But I want this to be like the main focal point of my crease and my outer corner, and then we'll deepen everything up with that brown shade. So next we're going to pop into this green shade down here, which is called Wet Moss, and I'm going to put that on my lower lash line. So I'm going to go ahead and pick it up with another mange brush. This is the short shader brush that I got in my Ice Cream Beauty box in December. So I'm just going to pick it up on the very tip, and I'm just going to kind of buff it right here along my lower lash line. So doing pretty much the same thing that I did with the first look, just a different shade. And I am going to bring it all the way across and meet it up right here in my outer corner. And I'm just going to keep buffing so I don't have a harsh line and it just kind of fades into itself, but I don't want to bring it too far down. All right, so next we're going to deepen up this outer corner ever so slightly, and we're going to do that with this deep brown shade right here, which is called Sleeping Tree. So I'm going to go ahead and pick that up with a Sigma E42 brush, and just like I did in the first look, I'm just very lightly going to tap it right here on my outer corner. Like, look at how pigmented that is. I picked up a little too much, so I'm just going to kind of wipe my brush off and then go back in and just kind of buff it into that orange shade. And if I need to go back in with that orange, I can 100% do it just to kind of soften it and bring back a little bit more of that shade. But that is so insanely beautiful. And I'm gonna bring it down onto my lower lash line as well, just right here in the very outer corner. And yeah, we're gonna have to go back in with that orange shade just a little bit to kind of reiterate it. So I'm gonna go ahead and pick it up again with that same brush that I used, and I'm just gonna go right over top of that brown shade, and it's just gonna kind of fade it out just a little bit. It's not gonna fully get rid of it, but it's gonna help disperse that shade just a little bit so it's not quite as tense and it doesn't overtake my look. All right, so once again, my lid is primed with my NYX Glitter Primer, and for all over the lid, I'm trying to decide between this shade and this shade right here. So we're gonna do swatches again. So the first one is this one up here, which is called Frozen Moss, and it's this really pretty green shimmer shade. Like, it doesn't have a flip to it or anything like that. It's absolutely stunning. I really do like that shade. I think it's beautiful. I don't always need something that has flips to it to make it beautiful, and I really do like that one. But the other one down at the bottom is this one right here, and this one is called Grackle Stare. So let's swatch that one out as well. This one definitely has more of a flip to it, and I think this might be the winner. But we might go back in with this shade to kind of blend that outer corner together. But look, oh my gosh, look at how insanely beautiful that shade is. It has like an orange to a yellow to a green flip to it. I love it. But we're gonna go ahead and start with that shade, which is Grackle Stare. So I'm gonna pick it up once again with my BK Beauty 203 brush. I'm gonna spray it, and we're gonna pop this all over the lid and bringing it over to the inner corner. So I'm just gonna press it right here. Oh, that is so beautiful. No fallout, very smooth, picked up very easily with a brush. These all felt nice and smooth in the pan as well. They didn't feel like super creamy or putty-like, so there's not gonna be a whole lot of creasing, or they're not going to be very prone to creasing. Gosh, that's what I'm trying to say. But they are going to go on nice and smooth. They're not going to be textured or chunky or anything like that. So if you're like me and you have more mature lids and you like something that's really smooth, but you still want to have a pretty flip to it, these are perfect for that. And look at how beautiful that is. I love it. But yeah, we're definitely going to go back in with this shade right here, and we're going to use it to kind of blend that outer corner into this shimmer shade. So with my same brush, I'm just going to wipe it off a little bit. I'm going to go into that shade called Frozen Moss, and I'm going to spray it once again, and we're going to pop this right on that line right there just to kind of blend everything together. So I'm just kind of like sweeping it with I'm just kind of pressing with sweeping motions towards the inner corner. I'm sorry, I'm trying to be a little bit more descriptive as to what I'm doing so I can help you out at home if you are new into makeup or you're playing around with color and want to know the techniques that I'm doing. But that's all I'm doing. I'm just kind of pressing and sweeping towards my inner corner, making sure that everything blends nicely. All right, to finish off this look, we're gonna go into this shimmer shade down here, which is called Squirrel, and I'm gonna put that on my inner corner. So let's do a little swatch really quick so you can see what it looks like, because this is such a beautiful like white shimmer shade. It has a little bit of like a silver iridescence to it, but look at that. Oh My gosh, it is so insanely reflective and smooth. This does have a little bit more texture to it than the other ones, but it's not super chunky where I feel like it's really going to emphasize texture if you put it on the lid. So I'm going to go ahead and pick that up with my Singe Beauty EO1 brush, spray it once again. I'm sure you're already knowing exactly what I'm going to do. And I'm going to pop this right here in my inner corner, and I'm going to blend it up onto my lid and down onto my lower lash line, just kind of wrapping it around my inner corner. All right, y'all, there we have it, our second completed look with this palette, and I think this one turned out beautiful as well. I love the combination of the orange and the green, but honestly, I kind of wish that I had done the orange on the lower lash line and done more of a monochromatic green look on the lid. That's just a personal preference thing. I still think it turned out absolutely beautiful. The shimmers are insanely reflective and smooth, and the mattes performed beautifully. But let's go over what I used to finish off this look so we can turn the lights down, see the shimmer, the shift, the sparkle, and then we can close out this video with my first initial impression thoughts. So in my lower waterline, I went in with a Give liner in the shade Greener Pastures, and then I finished everything off with the same liquid liner and mascara that I used in the first look. All right, y'all, let's go ahead and chat about this palette. So based off of first impression, I really enjoyed it. It is exactly what I have come to know and love from the brand as far as formula goes, and the color story I thought was beautiful. I really love the two looks that I was able to create with this palette today. I love the mix of the cool tones and the warm tones in here. We've got a good balance of mattes and shimmers in here, and I love that this palette brings some neutrality to it. It makes it very versatile. You could very easily do something very neutral in your crease, your lower lash line, and then throw in a pop of color all over the lid, maybe the inner corner. You've got some good one and done shades in here as well. And even though these are very deep matte shades in here, you saw that they blend out very easily. You can really kind of sheer them out and make them less pigmented, or you can build them up and get the full impact of them. I didn't have any issues with the performance of the mattes in here. I thought they were very easy to blend out, build up. They didn't mud out, they didn't crease, they didn't patch, skip, or anything like that. I didn't get any fallout with anything in here, except for this one shimmer shade right here. I did get just a little bit on my inner corner, but it wasn't enough to make it really noticeable. It just kind of fluffed away. It didn't like leave a streak or anything on my face, but the shimmers in here I thought were absolutely beautiful as well. I do still have 3 shimmers in here to play with, so I need to keep testing out this palette before I can give you my full thoughts. But the shimmers that I did play with, they were very smooth, they were very reflective, they had beautiful flips to them, they didn't emphasize texture. Like I said, I just got that little bit of fallout with this one right here, but other than that, I didn't have any issues, and I think this color story coincides with the other 2 palettes beautifully. In fact, I absolutely want to do a palette bingo with the 3 palettes, but I am going to show you the other 2 as well so you can see kind of a comparison as far as color story and things like that go. But I do think that the 3 of them would go beautiful together, and that's one thing that I have noticed when they bring out their palettes is that they're kind of building on top of one another so you can use them all together, and I feel like that's kind of rare for brands to do as far as palettes go. I mean, you can always mix and match however you want, but let's go ahead and compare this one to the Poppy Storm palette, because that was the very first palette that the brand ever brought us, and this one is very deep. You've got some beautiful jewel tones in here, beautiful shimmers, and you can see how these 2 palettes would go beautifully together. And I love that you have some more neutrality in this palette as well. It's a favorite of mine. But the second one that they came out with is the Poppy Quiet palette, and this one made it into my top palettes of last year. Oops, sorry, having some difficulties over here, but you can see this one is just a little bit lighter. It's a little bit softer, but still beautiful, pigmented, and it would go beautiful with this palette over here. I love the mattes and the shimmers in this palette, but overall, I love it. I'm impressed with it. I think if this is a color story that calls to you and you've been wanting to try the brand, absolutely go for it. I don't think you'd be disappointed at all whatsoever. But that is going to complete this video. I hope y'all enjoyed it. Let me know all of your thoughts down below. Let me know which look was your favorite. Let me know what you thought of the palette, if you've tried titanium foxes before, or if they are on your radar to try this year. I want to know it all. Let's have that conversation. Light up that comment section. And as usual, I want to thank you all so much for watching my video and spending your time with me. It truly does mean so much to me. And if you like this video, make sure you give it a big thumbs up before you leave. Don't forget to hit that subscribe button and click on that notification bell so that you can be notified of all my future posts here on my channel. I do post quite a few videos every single week, and I wouldn't want you to miss one. Until my next video, have a good one. Bye.